All right, what's up, guys? I'm here to complain. You know what I hate? I hate when something you have and you expect to work doesn't work, right? I hate when you put all this time and attention or focus, or if you just have something and you're expecting like that something to work, it doesn't. For example, right? I had this app on my computer. It lets me, change my voice frequency. It lets me change the way my voice sounds. It's a voice changer in essence, but that wasn't what I was using it for. I have a microphone that I've had over the course of several years, and through several different platforms or mediums or whatever you want to call it, it has issues. So, for example, with friends through Discord. I will be talking to those friends and they will tell me they can't hear me, or they will tell me I speak too low. I know that in certain situations they are playing games and we're all like sitting in a server, right? So it used to be that we would all play the same game, or majority of us would play the same game while others were doing something else entirely, but we would all just be in a server. That way we could sit down and talk to each other, right? Well, there was this time, and it still somewhat is here today, but there was this time where those friends would tell me they can't hear me, they can't understand me, they didn't even know I was talking, so on and so forth, so on and so forth. Now, they could be trolling me, right? But with my base microphone through an app like Discord, I would get that complaint a lot. And they were basically telling me that my microphone was low, that when I spoke, it was too quiet, and that they couldn't make out what I was saying. So to fix this, I would go throughout um, Google and YouTube and try to find ways to actually fix my microphone. And in this essence, it was just fixing it was really just changing the natural audio in it, like the natural audio volume in it. So I would go to like the Windows settings and I would turn the microphone and record volume and playback volume and all this stuff up. So hopefully it would make me louder. Now I know you're probably thinking, why don't they just turn you up in Discord? Well, they did, or so they claimed, and they still couldn't, hear me. So then you're probably thinking, okay, well, why don't you just turn up your like input output settings on Discord? And I did, and they still couldn't hear me. So it got to the point to where, obviously it was an issue. They would either be having to play their games on mute and turn down everybody else just to hear me, or I don't know, because just in general, it was hard for them to understand me and make out what I was saying compared to literally everybody else on the server. So they're blaming my microphone. Now, granted, around this time, I was also making YouTube videos. I was posting stuff through different platforms. I was reaching out and talking to other people through different apps. And the microphone was working completely fine. I wasn't too quiet. Nobody was complaining about my volume. Everything was fine. But whenever I get on Discord, and it became a trend, it wasn't just with those friends, it was with other people in Discord altogether. For some strange reason, it just was not working. People could not make out what I was saying. People could not hear me, and my voice was not being heard. It was not being reached. I hate that. So I downloaded a voice changer that I actually paid for years ago, and just stopped using. And I ended up downloading it because I thought, well, if you can't hear me, at least I'm going to be stupid, and have some kind of goofy voice that would make it so that if I was talking, you would probably hear like the echoes of something that didn't make sense, and you'd have to put a pause on essentially everything just to see, okay, well, that was him talking, that was him speaking. Let me see what he has to say. Let me like stop everything, put everything on mute, and hear what he has to say. Right? But the voice changer actually changed the volume for my microphone. There was a setting. That's what I found out while using the voice changer, and boom, I was able to turn myself up. When I did this, they were able to hear me. Now, this problem was going on for months, if not years, and I never really had a fix for it. When I got that voice changer, it definitely did change things for me. Now, the issue with the voice changer was, for some friends, it would work just fine. It would have my voice be louder and clearer, while others, my voice would be crackly and crunchy. And I don't know why I couldn't get the same result for everybody in the same server. Because once again, I was mainly talking to people on Discord, and that's where the issue was happening. So with certain friends, I'd have to take it off. With other friends, I would keep it on. And that's just how it was. Recently, that app has just stopped working. Pretty much every time I open it up on my computer, which is open by default as soon as I turn my computer on. So pretty much every time I turn my computer on, the app just stops functioning. And my computer will warn me, hey, this app does not work. And the issue is, I'm talking to people on Discord, and I'm thinking I'm having a full on conversation with them when I'm joining a chat or I'm joining a server or whatever the case may be. And it basically just turned out that there was no audio being pushed through the microphone. So I was actually talking to myself for a good bit of time. And some friends wouldn't say anything because they thought that I was just sitting in chat on mute or like muted my microphone or just being silent and listening in. And then they'd be like, hey, if you've been talking this whole time, we can't hear you. Or some friends will tell me right away, hey, I can't make out what you're saying. I don't know what you're saying. If you are talking, I cannot hear you. And I'm like, man, what's going on? So both times I go and I check, and the app is just not working. There would be times where I was coming to record for a video, or I'm in school, and one of my projects is a lot of video editing. So I was editing a video and getting ready to voice over some things, and boom, my microphone's not working because I got my microphone being funneled through this app, and this app just randomly decided to turn my microphone off, and it just does not want to work. I went through the app to try to change settings personally, and nothing was happening. Nothing was changing, and I was super confused on why any of this was happening to begin with because the app was working completely fine. Now, I know what you're probably thinking is the natural fix is why don't you just uninstall the app and reinstall it? Why don't you look to see if there are any updates for the app? Why don't you try to problem solve, fix, whatever? And I did for just a little bit, but then it hit me. I'm just not in the mood to do it anymore. I do not want to keep working on this stuff. I do not want to keep trying to fix and fine tune these things. And I just decided to get rid of the app, keep my microphone as natural as it can be. And if people can't hear me, then that's just that. I'll have to put down for a new microphone, or I'll have to try to find some way to universally bass boost the volume in my microphone or something. I will have to try to figure something out. And the strange thing is, like I was saying, the issue only really arises when I'm using apps like Discord. Not all of them, but a chunk of the apps that I use to communicate with other people, that's when the microphone starts having issues. When I'm recording something like this for a video, it's rarely ever having issues. Like the bass microphone is rarely ever having issues. And one of the bigger reasons why I wanted to make this video is because it's not necessarily the app that's the only issue as far as I've come to pick up with things not working. All right. I didn't want to make a video solely targeting an app and just trashing it or whatever the case may be. There are a bunch of things that just aren't working or have a tendency to not work, at least in my life for me. I'm sure there are tons of other people who can relate or who are relating right now or maybe who will relate or who could have related. But there's a lot. So I used an app and a microphone for an example. Okay, well, I have a truck. My truck is constantly running into issues. Just the other day, I had to lend it to family, and the tire almost flew off while one of them was driving. All right, I have class in 20 minutes. I'm going to be very late because that truck's being fixed on right now, and I don't have another way to get to class. There's one. There was a project I had due a week ago, 2 weeks ago. It was a group project, And the person that I had to work on it with, I did not have steady communication with because we just didn't. And we had our own stuff to work on. I had my own work schedule. They had their own work schedule. I had my own set of classes. They had their own set of classes. We didn't have time to sit down and record each other or talk to each other for some project that was going to take X amount of hours because we were too busy juggling our base lives. So it didn't work out the way we had intended it to. It didn't work out as planned. I know that probably doesn't follow the exact same guidelines that I probably had at the beginning of the video talking about things that were programmed to work, but this still, to an extent, follows in that threshold of things just do not work. Right now, you're watching gameplay footage of Diablo 4. When Diablo 4 came out, it was not working. Okay, there's a lot of issues for me and a lot of people. Sometimes the game would crash. And you're probably like, oh, well, big whoop, the game would crash. No, it's like you be in the game, and in your first 5 to 10 minutes of the game, you would get kicked out of the game. Sometimes the game would not even load. Sometimes certain things about the game just decided not to work. I uploaded a video like a year or 2 years ago whenever Diablo 4 had been released, and I put out some settings that you could possibly do to fix your game because I was having the same issues. Fast forward, I don't think those settings were actually major bug fixes for the game. I think the game just honestly did not work because on PC, the provider, which is Blizzard, Battle.net, whatever you want to call them, they were just having issues with the Diablo 4 servers. So this was just a video that I wanted to cover as far as like things that just have not been working lately for me, and I wanted to see, who else is having issues as of late, where things just aren't going as planned. They aren't working as intended. They aren't working based on their actual purpose. Whether it's a relationship, a friendship, some service, some program, some item. Who else is going through something that is just simply not working? Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm swapping back to my normal microphone. A little side note, and I believe I've said it before, not in this video, but another one, but I'll kind of put it in this video as well. That voice changing app that I would use, whenever I was recording audio for a video with that app, it would just decimate my voice. One of the friends who talked about my voice cracking a lot in Discord whenever I used that app, I would hear it here. So I uploaded some videos probably a month or two ago relating to my whole drama at one of my jobs, and the first two videos was with using the app. I didn't go back to listen to it because usually when I edit videos and I post them, I know how they're going to sound. I don't need to pre-listen because I make a handful of videos. I know how my equipment works. But when I did it with the app for those first two, it was so bad, man. It was just a lot of scruffiness, and things were just not clear at all. And it was like I was just muffled, and you could kind of make out what I was saying, but not at all. So, I guess I could go on and on about all this, but that's basically where I want to stop. As you can see, the video's cut off and done. Yeah, peace. Eat my balls.